Shang-Chi explodes at the box office in the middle of a pandemic when everybody thought that all hope was lost. Here comes Shang-Chi saving the motherfucking day. What's up, guys? I'm Alex, host of The Antagonist, and I'm here to talk about Shang-Chi, the newest top 3 Avenger joining the MCU, and what he did at the box office this past weekend. Now, this was a holiday weekend, Labor Day, but it's not usually a weekend where movies open ginormous. So Shang-Chi delivered a box office juggernaut for this type of weekend in the vein of what movies like 50 Shades of Grey and Deadpool did for Valentine's Day weekend. That was also not a weekend where we saw heavy hitters come out of the box office. So Shang-Chi opened on his 3-day. We're going to go between the 3-day and the 4-day. On his 3-day, Shang-Chi opened with $71.4 million. All right, that's below Black Widow, but that's above what F9 did. Shang-Chi to open with these numbers, right after Black Widow, right under Black Widow. I think this not only does it prove that, a movie like this we've been waiting on, Asian lead, majority Asian cast, first Marvel Asian superhero. Not only is this the Black Panther for the Asian community, its box office numbers would have been probably double this if not for this pandemic, which means that this would have been the mega hit like a Captain Marvel was, like a Black Panther was. Shang-Chi would have been that. So yay for diversity, number one, and yay for Shang-Chi, a hero that nobody knew anything about. Marvel had barely used this guy in like the comic books. He was not around a lot. His initial run was kind of pretty racist, like if you go back and look at it. So for them to take this character and do what they've done and to boost his power set, like if you've seen the movie, this guy is going to be a force to be reckoned with because of what he has at his disposal. And the fact that he's probably, and they may have confirmed this, I can't remember, but he's probably the best hand-to-hand combat specialist in the MCU now. I think he could have whooped Captain America's ass in his prime. He's going to give Black Panther a run for his money. I don't know if he can necessarily beat Black Panther. Cap and Black Panther fought to a stalemate in the MCU. We know in the comics Black Panther has whooped Cap's ass, but they fought to a stalemate in the MCU. So and this is the MCU, so these are the versions I'm going to use. But other than that, we didn't see Black Panther lose any hand-to-hand combat fights. But now that Shang-Chi is on the table, now that he's here, if the two ever crossed paths and they didn't like each other, somebody's got to come out a winner of that fight. After seeing Shang-Chi, the way he was throwing out them hands, my boy Black Panther's going to have a good fight to deal with. But that's something that we'll probably never see, because we don't need another like Civil War type story where the heroes are fighting each other. I like where we're at now. The heroes are getting along, especially after what happened to Thanos. I don't think there's really going to be any more contradictions outside of that. As far as what this movie can do from now on further, when we look at these numbers, before I mention those, the 4-day estimate is at 90 million for the 4-day. This is Labor Day weekend, so they have the 3 and the 4-day numbers. It says people were off an extra day, and that's estimated at 90 million, which is now that's higher than Black Widow's 4-day. Black Widow's 4-day was about 87, but it's kind of a little unfair. That didn't come out. There wasn't a lot of people off on that Monday compared to now, and the movie itself didn't have that buzz that Shang-Chi had. All right, Shang-Chi was something entirely original. It was something that didn't come too late. It came at the exact right time, and as far as its timing in the MCU, whereas Black Widow was 3 years too late. So, it didn't open more than Black Widow on the 3-day, and that's what we're going to stick with. But I believe that these high of numbers does not really help Scarlett Johansson and her lawsuit. Scarlett Johansson in this lawsuit, about the Disney Plus lowering the box office, we see that Shang-Chi opened theaters only. There was no Disney Plus to back it up, and it opened less. But we're really going to find out next weekend. This weekend is all going to be determined on what happens next weekend. What goes on with Eternals in November is going to be determined by what happens next weekend and probably the weekend after that, the first 3 weeks. Because after 45 days, it's going to come to, I think, PVOD. I think it's supposed to be on Disney Plus, but is it for the $30? I'm gonna have to double check that. So after 45 days, it's going to be available on streaming, one way or another, whether it's PVOD alone or if it's Disney Plus alone. It doesn't matter. It's going to be available. So in those first 3 weeks, depending on the droppage, that's going to determine what happens with Eternals. Do I see Shang-Chi dropping huge 70% like Black Widow? No, I don't. Shang-Chi has better buzz than Black Widow did coming out. Shang-Chi doesn't have to worry about that Disney Plus aspect, though I don't think that was really that big of a difference when it came to Black Widow. And Shang-Chi has the better fan and casual moviegoer praise right now. You go and look at the critic score and the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. It's damn near 100% on that audience score, and it's at 92% critically. That is, you cannot say that for Black Widow. Black Widow is a bit lower than that on both sides. So Shang-Chi is a standout in that regard. And I think that's going to help it. I think it's going to save it from dropping 70%. We see that this weekend, Candyman dropped around 53%. So with Candyman dropping just that, there's no guarantee that those big drops are, even though Candyman didn't open as big, so there might not be an apples to apples scenario. But Shang-Chi, with what's going on, it's just straight slapping right now. It has the hype behind it. It has everything that you could suspect that it would need to perform well at the box office. And I didn't expect it to get this high. I had high hopes for Shang-Chi. I always said, as soon as this got announced, that is the next one that I'm looking forward to. I know that we got this multiverse stuff going on with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, and we got all of Spider-Man coming back at the end of the year. But Shang-Chi was that one that I said, I need to see that one. And for the first time in over a year, I walked my ass out of this house and got in a theater. Kept my mask on. I had an N95. So I was in that theater to see this. I don't go to the theaters right now, especially not right now, as much as because, pandemic COVID, as I mentioned 50,000 times. But who's to say that, I can't overcome that at least one time. And I did because it was honestly a struggle on whether or not I was going to go and see it. I'm not one of these people that are like, yeah, I'm going to take all these risks and blah, 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 blah. I got other people to think about, whether you're vaxxed or not, being in a crowded space, because it is a Marvel movie at the end of the day, is not on my to-do list in a probably not well-ventilated theater that's nasty as shit because they're not cleaning them as well. The theaters are understaffed, as are a lot of places right now, and they're dirty. Even the one I went to, which was premium seating with the recliners and everything, and little tables that come out, it was dirty. The tables were dirty. I didn't even get no drink or no popcorn, luckily, because I wouldn't have sat it there, man. I would have been disgusted. So I went out and I saw Shang-Chi because that's how hype I was for this. As soon as this was announced, how many years ago was that? 2 to 3 years ago? I said, if there's any movie I got to see in the next few years after Endgame, it's Shang-Chi because of what it's doing, what it means. It was one of those movies that I always had good feeling about. Same way when it came to Black Panther. I mean, the personal attachment with that film. While I don't have that with Shang-Chi, I just knew. And then for the people that do, it's like I got to clap my hands for, because I know the feeling. When I was in that theater watching Black Panther, I know the feeling for this community to walk in that theater and watch Shang-Chi. and it's for me to witness and watch with him. That was a joy. And for the movie to be as epic as it was and as great as it was also a big fucking joy. So, congratulations, Shang-Chi. Love the movie. To me, it's a 9.5 out of 10. If I had to rate it, I loved everything that was going on. Loved everything that happened. It was, there's no such thing as really a perfect movie. We throw out 10s for movies that we feel overcome every single thing. And Shang-Chi overcome basically damn near every single thing. The only thing I wanted to see more was the sister. I wanted more of the sister to understand, like, especially with that in credit scene, like what is she doing, to understand like whose side she's really gonna be on. I wanted more of her. I feel like it took a bit to get to that. The fact that she freaking existed, I was like, oh, what? But that just shows I was out of the loop. I didn't go for spoilers on this movie. Didn't even know that she was in the film to begin with. And I was like, oh, that's new. That's a different element. But the rest of the top 10 is just, there's nothing to really talk about there. This is Shang-Chi's week. I didn't talk about Candyman last weekend because I just felt that it opened okay. There wasn't much to talk about there either. It opened less than Jordan Peele produced stuff. Other produced stuff like Get Out and Us. Those were directly directed by Jordan Peele, whereas Candyman was not. So that may have had something to do with it. But Shang-Chi opening that big, what can you say? Next week we're going to have some real, analytics to dive into on its second weekend and be comparing it to Black Widow and F9. Because if it holds better, the theory that if the movie's good and fans love it, they'll go see it again, reigns true. It'll reign true. I don't think Black Widow had that. You could try to blame Disney Plus all you want to. I don't think Black Widow had that, and that's ultimately why that movie failed. It didn't really fail, but it didn't make what Scarlett Johansson obviously thought it was going to make. So, but Shang-Chi, it's well-deserved. It's so deserved. There's not another big movie coming out until Venom. Got some smaller movies coming out until then. So, I think everyone who went out to see Shang-Chi is going to get a much-needed break. They probably need one anyway. Go home, stay home, quarantine. Only go to work and grocery store and don't go in big crowds. As I say that, having went to Shang-Chi. Though I went in the morning. There was no big crowd when I went. I understand there were people that did go in big crowds. I hope you're all okay. But, yes. Until next week. So, thank you all for watching. Leave a like if you would. I'd greatly appreciate it. Subscribe if you will. How are you going to watch Shang-Chi? Tell me right now. Are you going to wait 45 days until it comes to streaming? Have you seen it already? Tell me what you think about the film down below as well. And until next time, guys. See you.